Hello, I'm Catherine Sines, the president of the Rotary Club of Hudson. Rotary is a professional organization of a group of men and women who support Rotary International. We also join together by a common interest of service to our Hudson community, and we have a sincere desire to give back. We meet weekly on Wednesdays at Laurel Lake Retirement Community, 200 Laurel Lake Drive, in their dining room. We meet from 7:30 to 8:30 and would like to invite you to join us. For more information about Rotary, go to www.rotaryhudson.org. Enjoy the following excerpts from one of our recent meetings and consider joining us on Wednesday morning.
Good morning, Rotarians.
Good morning, Tom.
I know I'm not as good looking as Ron Strobel, but I'm filling in for the boy out in California. So to start us off, I heard that. To start us off, Phil Tobin will lead us in prayer.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning, Tom.
Welcome to Winter Wonderland, huh? Let us pray. Heavenly Father, make each of us here an instrument of your grace. Bring us together as Rotarians in a community of caring individuals. Bless us and our differences, and strengthen us in courage to carry out and fulfill our mission of service above self. Call on us to gather in your good love. Lead us to know and glorify you on each step of the journey of our life. In your name we ask it. Amen. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Phil. Larry, you've been benched. Larry? Yeah. Our Boy Scouts are going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Do they want to lead us in a song too?
Yeah, do they want to hear up here?
I know it's ring. Okay. Yeah. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll do that.
Stay right there, guys.
Turn around.
You're going to lead us in the four-way test. Just say first.
First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thanks, guys.
Good job.
Now we're going to have Chris Barker lead us in song.
I thought we were going to have Kate Smith tonight.
All right, Rotarians and guests, if you please join me in song, we're going to be singing America the Beautiful. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of rain, for purple mountains' majesty, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
And now, our president, Catherine Sines.
Thank you. Good morning, Rotarians.
Good morning, Robin.
And I know the roads weren't very good this morning, but driving in it was a winter wonderland. I love the trees and the sparkle. Sometimes we just have to look at the positives. Next, we have Chris Barker going to introduce our guest.
Good morning again.
Good morning, Chris.
We have two returning guests with us, if they could please stand. And hopefully they'll be future members of our club. First, we have David Schweighofer. And we have Bill Benoit. Thank you for joining us again.
Messed it up. We don't have a lot of announcements this morning, but there was two things I wanted to share. First, I wanted to share with you the school closing dilemma. In case some of you don't know, schools are closed today. That we're supposed to get more snow, and so I wanted to read you something that I've.
Hudson roads are great.
Yeah, the Hudson roads are great. I recently sent this to our superintendent. It's called the School Closing Dilemma. You are a superintendent who has been notified that the National Weather Service is predicting snow or ice and possibly dangerous driving conditions. You are aware that thousands of school children will be riding buses and hundreds of teenagers driving. You are also aware that if nothing happens, you will be lambasted and mocked by parents and taxpayers. What do you do? Do you say, "I'll believe it when I see it," or do you cancel classes? I can't speak for you, but I would rather be a fool 50 times than be fatally wrong once. And the last time we had a school closing in my school district, which is Plain Local, there was one teenager who died. So every time he closes schools, and I know he's going to get a hard time from a lot of parents, I keep sending this back to him. He goes, "I get it. You don't have to keep sending it. I get it." So I'd rather him be wrong than to have a fatal accident. Also this morning, I had a Rotarian give me some ideas of things that when we don't have a lot of announcements that we share. And this was done by, how do you say it, Joe? Rotaract? Rotaract. And it's 18 and 30-year-olds, and this was done by a Rotaract group. And it's What is Rotary? There's 3 or 4 of them. If you ever get out there on YouTube and look, there's some really interesting ones. And we just wanted to share it.
What?
I got it.
It's called what?
Rotary is a voluntary, non-profit, non-governmental, non-religious organization of industry professionals and academic working in the employment autonomous network providing self-education and knowledge in humanitarian aid. It might sound complex, but it's built on a very simple philosophy. You go through life, working, studying, and taking care of your loved ones. But at some point, you might stop and feel a spark. An urge to not only do good, but to help others as well as yourself. Throughout life, you've had tons of ideas. All of them might not have been the most complex or the most developed. But it's the thought that counts, isn't it? When an idea is introduced into the Rotarian network, and we exchange thoughts, knowledge, and experience, ideas grow along with ourselves and are brought into reality. That is what Rotary is. We know that simple thoughts can become the beginning of something huge and life-changing for millions of people around the world. For us, it has led to projects like local mentorship programs, providing clean water, building schools, disease awareness campaigns, scholarships, exchange programs, weeks for cancer patients, teaching kids karate, providing medical care, blood donations, fighting illiteracy, protecting mothers and children, and emergency food supplies. And to think that our first project was a public toilet, and now we're on the brink of eradicating polio. We believe that with the right people, the smallest thing can make a huge difference. So when you feel the spark, remember Rotary.
I enjoyed that. I kind of did the imagination. I love the blood drive one. I thought that one was the best. But if you go out on YouTube and just put in Rotary, you'll see the 4-way test out there. There's a lot of very creative drawings and describing things. It's very interesting. So we just wanted to share that. So Andy Morris, would you want to come up and introduce our guests? You guys have a long time. They can speak for a while. We get Vandy the microphone, the Boy Scouts might not make it up here.
Catherine, is this your pen?
No.
Good morning, Rotarians.
Good morning, Andy.
We are blessed as a Rotary Club to have sponsored the Boy Scouts for lots of years, and they're going to talk to you a little bit about that. We've also sponsored the Cub Scouts, and It's been a blessing because, frankly, when we talk in terms of what we saw earlier on the video here of doing things and trying to help and to pass things on, as well as the four-way test, that's exactly where helping our youth to grow and to give them a safe area to learn new skills is all about. So it's always been a part of the Hudson Rotary Club to do the whatever's necessary to help our youth in Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts to grow, to mature, and to develop. And so because of that, we're blessed in February to bring up the Troop 321, and so I'm going to ask their Scoutmaster, Rob Searson, to be a part of that, and I'm turning it over to him. I know he's got a bunch of slides to show too, and I'm not sure what, but please welcome our Scoutmaster, Rob Searson.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's great to be with all of you again this morning. We always have a good time on a snowy morning like this. As we mentioned, Mr. Herman did call off school this morning, so there was a little bit of a debate on whether the Rotarians were also going to have a snow day or not, but you guys are here, so we're here too. Thank you for the opportunity to come, and thank you guys for, as Andy said, your continued support of the troop. One thing that we're very, very excited about is that 2018 is the 100th anniversary of Troop 321. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll talk a little bit about kind of where the troop is right now, what we're up to these days, and then I'll call the guys up here and we'll go through some pictures of the fun stuff that they did through the last year. So there we go. So I did show this slide deck at the troop meeting last night. I pulled a couple interesting facts off the internet that I wanted to share with the guys. So 100 years ago, what were some of the interesting things that happened in 1918? Just a couple of quick bullet points. I'm not sure anybody knows who James M. Cox was. Woodrow Wilson was the president at the time. Interestingly, that's the year that GM acquired Chevy. And then some of the people who were born that year. Maybe you've seen the picture of Robert Wadlow. He was that giant fellow that you've seen in a lot of the Guinness Book of World Record pictures. And then maybe most importantly, that was the end of World War I that year.
Joe Zabatowski was born then.
Excellent. I knew there'd be other things that I missed that I didn't have in my slide deck.
No, how was that first?
There we go. And also, of course, as we mentioned, one of the most important things to us was that our troop was chartered. As best as we can tell, from the research we've done, our troop was chartered on December 18th of that year. So we are almost 100 years old. What we're planning in the troop is we're going to be doing some fun and historical type things to kind of play on the history, and we're looking at a couple different events, some different things we want to do to take advantage of the anniversary to promote the troop in town and promote Boy Scouts in general. We're talking about doing some open house type events at the cabin. I'm sure everybody here knows about our log cabin right downtown, built by the troop in 1931 by the then Scoutmaster and the boys in the troop. So we're looking at doing some open house type events at the cabin, maybe during like Taste of Hudson, that kind of thing. Open the cabin up to people who have not seen it ever or not seen it in a long time and want to just check it out. And then, of course, we're talking about doing some sort of a big party or some sort of a gathering for troop alumni, both scouts and parents. Maybe at the cabin. We're not quite sure where that's going to happen yet. But we do know that one of the things about Boy Scouts is, as a Scout family, you get really deep into Scouts for a long time, for many years, and then your son ages out, and poof, you're not involved with Scouting anymore, but it's been a big part of your life for a long time. And I've talked to a lot of troop alumni who, their parents really would like to still be involved and kind of hear what's going on. So to that end, we have put together an email group, not a big deal. We put together an email group for troop alumni. We've got maybe 40 or 50 people in this group already, and we use this for just communicating things about the troop. So if you were ever involved with 321 and you want to just kind of be up, kept up on what's going on, feel free to, that's my email address there. scoutmaster@troop321hudson.org. I picked one of the longest email addresses I could come up with, so. Anybody, feel free to email me, and say, here's my email address, here's my son's email address. We'll send stuff to whoever wants to see it. So we would love to keep in touch with anyone who's ever been involved with the troop.
Of where there was some history. We made, I still have this, I actually should have brought it today. We made a hammer out of wood, which we found wood pieces that they picked out for us, and we put it together, and then we got it, what is it called? When you put something on it? What? When you get something, well, it's when you get something really hot and you brand it. So we branded our hammer, and it has SBR, which is Summit Vectoral Reserve 2017 on it. So that's pretty cool. And then here's a cool picture of it raining. It rains. I mean, it looks cool. It rained maybe 3 times the whole time we were there, and when it rains in West Virginia, it rains. So it was kind of scary. At 4 in the morning at one point, we had to wake up at 4:30 to go up to that mountain. So at 4 in the morning, 30 minutes before we had to wake up, they had sirens at each base camp. We were in base camp Bravo or base camp B, and so the siren went off, and this guy on the microphone said, there is a storm warning, seek shelter, and it was kind of scary. So I don't know if I was gonna survive, but I did, and I'm here now.
One more. So this is one final picture from the Jamboree. So some of us, maybe 4 or 5 of us, went down just for one long weekend. Kind of an overnighter and then one day. So this was the picture that I took when we were down there for the kind of the big end of Jamboree show. So all of camp showed up. So those of us who went down for just that weekend met up with these guys just to say hi. And then this was, I don't know if you guys wanted to mention anything about this. This is kind of when everyone was gathering ahead of time before the show.
Yeah, they have these big shows at the end and the beginning where they bring in big bands and they perform and they go through a bunch of scouting things and reflect on stuff. And you can actually see us in this picture. Near the left, we're in bright orange, and we had a big group of us that went for the entire 11 days. And so, yeah.
And that was, of course, the event where President Trump showed up, right? That was that event.
Well, it was the Jamboree where he showed up, but not this picture.
Oh, right. That was the next day, I think, right?
There was 3 stadium shows. One was at the beginning as a welcoming one. That was the second day we were there after we got settled and set up our camp. This one was the final show, and that's when they brought in, what did they bring in? What band?
Ex-Ambassadors.
Ex-Ambassadors, yeah. Which is the band. I don't know if you guys know who those are. But this was the final one. At the end, there were fireworks and lasers, and it was pretty professional and pretty cool. Then the one before that, we didn't know Trump was coming. It was a big surprise. So Trump just kind of showed up, and we're like, okay. So we we watched it, and he presented to us. So this is the final stadium show, and it was pretty cool. And then after this show, we went back to our base camp. It was at the time when it was about to rain.
Yeah, there was heat lightning.
Yeah, there was lightning. You could see it, and we were like, we need to get out of here. So there's a bridge to get across from our base camp. It's called the Total Energy Bridge because they got to sponsor it. And so it goes under, it goes over a valley, which, that's why there's a bridge there, because you don't want scouts going under the valley then back up, because of course someone's going to get hurt. But they decided to close the bridge for some reason, so our SPL for our patrol said, we're going to go under the bridge through the valley and go back up, because we're not waiting this long in case it rains. So we and a couple, I think there was 8, including me and Spencer, who went under the bridge through the valley and back up. I mean, it was pretty scary too because everyone was panicking. Looked like it was about to rain, and the ironic part is it never rained that night. So we did we scaled the valley, and people were panicking and stuff, and it never ended up raining. But Jamboree was a fun time. I could stand here and talk for hours about it, but that was just a small summary about it.
Last September, we did a kind of a weekend camp out at Punderson. As far as I'm aware, we hadn't camped there before, so the guys picked that out as a new spot to go check out. Down in the bottom there, we're about to head out on a night hike around the lake. There's some really cool views of the lake in the dark. So jump in anytime. No, I mean, go ahead.
That was for geocaching, and geocaching is when there's a location that people set up, and then you go find the box and you can add to the box. We have our own geocache that we should still set up, and it's a little sprinkler. It's a fake sprinkler that we're going to put by the cabin, and we're going to put items in there and like a little piece of paper. So when someone finds it, we found a geocache here, and it's just it was mostly a box hidden under a tree. Then we added something to it. We said, Troop 321 was here. It was a pretty fun time. It was a short camp out. But we enjoyed it. At the end, we were, listening to some pretty spooky stories, and yeah, it was a fun time, and I enjoyed it. So,
we should probably clarify that geocaching isn't. You don't just kind of wander around through the woods looking for boxes. They're like set up locations, so you've got coordinates for it, and you use a handheld GPS, and it's actually a lot of fun if you can manage to do it right.
So some of the other things, you'll notice as the year gets a little bit later in the year, gets colder outside, some of the activities kind of move indoors. So in November, we did a bowling fun night. We have a trophy that we award to the top bowler of the night. I don't remember who got it this year.
I think it was Ben.
It was Nathan.
Oh.
Nathan cheated, though.
So one of the other troop traditions, every December, we have what we call the Winter Feast camp out, traditionally over at Camp Manitowoc. I don't know if you guys want to mention what's going on in these pictures.
So this looks like we're trying to summon something, but it's not. We can decorate our bunks, and we had a bunk decorating contest. Last year I won because I was the only one who decorated, but this year I was like, oh, this should be an easy win, but no, literally everyone who came to this brought lights. So our room, we didn't even have to turn on the lights because we had so many Christmas lights in our bunk. So that's a really fun time. In the middle of that, me and Spencer had to go to a merit badge challenge, and a merit badge challenge is when you get done with 3 merit badges at once, and that's what gets us closer to Eagle. So we weren't there as long as I was last year, but it was still a fun time. We play Wii and stuff. That's a camp out which we do indoors. That's the only camp out of the year which the adults cook the meals and we don't. So they make stuff in Dutch ovens, and it's a pretty fun time.
So in this picture, I have no idea what we're doing. I think we were going on a hike, maybe?
We were going on a hike through the woods, yep.
Yeah. And then in this one over here, not this one, that one, we were doing target practicing with some Nerf guns.
Yes.
That seems really childish, but we did it.
You guys had a lot of fun.
Yeah, we did. We did have a lot of fun.
And it was 48 degrees out that day. I checked. I took a picture of the temperature on my phone to confirm, which is why it looks so nice. So here's kind of what we were talking about a minute ago. Nice campfire. So one of our dads, Josh Herschel, up in the corner. Last couple of years, he has deep fried a couple of turkeys for the feast. We invite all the families to come out. So moms, sisters, little brothers, everybody comes out and joins us at the lodge. And we have a big dinner. Very popular. You guys want to add anything? So the last activity I have in here was a trip that we just took in January to visit the Goodyear blimp hangar, which in this picture, it's really small. That building in the background behind the guys is the blimp hangar. So we went and had lunch beforehand at Wingfoot Lake Park, and it was in the teens that day. but the boys who went braved it, and we cooked lunch out there that day. You guys look really happy in that picture, Ben.
Yeah. We look happy in this picture, but in reality, again, it was a little cold. So this is the blimp hangar. It's not painted, so that's why it just looks like a giant blob sitting in a big thing. There's actually people working inside of it, which I didn't know was possible. So there's a little chute over here, it's really tiny, that people go in and work on it. So I've touched the Goodyear blimp, I can say that I've done that. And then also, yeah, it's not painted, so it looks kind of boring. But we learned about all the history of all the most recent blimps, and Goodyear's made a lot of blimps that I didn't know about. So it was kind of an interesting adventure. And it was kind of odd, seeing the blimp like there in front of you than seeing it in the sky. Because I've seen the blimp a couple of times, before a football game or before a baseball game, and seeing it there was just kind of a cool experience.
It didn't even have the gondola. The car thing underneath wasn't even attached yet. It was literally a giant gray balloon hanging in the hangar. Okay, thanks guys. A couple quick bullet points on just what's coming up next. Like I mentioned earlier, we've got some Cub Scouts who are going to be crossing over. A couple campouts. We talked for a little while about doing a campout somewhere differently. We do a lot of camping at Camp Butler and Manitowoc, which are right down the street. We would like to go do a camp somewhere else. And then we're doing a high adventure trip this summer. Some of us are going to go down to the Boy Scouts, they call it Sea Base, down in the Florida Keys. And we're going to spend about a week on a couple boats down there sailing around in the Keys, which should be a lot of fun. So next year, when we come to the Rotary meeting, I'll have some really cool pictures of Sea Base, hopefully.
I think that's it.
I did want to mention we have an online presence, which is public. Anybody's welcome to check out. I try to post kind of what we're up to on the website. And that was it. So thank you very, very much. Good job, guys. See.